What's up, everyone? In this video, we have some big things to talk about. This week, the stock market has been very choppy and hard to trade, but that's all about to change very soon. In this video, we're going to cover the important things you need to know going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. We're also going to touch on Nvidia stocks earnings and what they're looking like going forward. And we also have some important things to talk about just with the market overall right now, because everything is starting to heat back up again. At the end of today's video, we have a $672,000 trade. Definitely stick around for that, but let's get right into it, Tom.
Yeah, Mike, the market, like you said, was extremely choppy today, and we were really watching some big supports in the middle of the day, right around 395 and like 396. You can see there were just tons of bounces all between pretty much 395 and 397 in the middle of the trading day. But we did get some pretty big news come out this morning, Mike, with Target actually. And you can see Target actually tanked, guys. It closed up yesterday around 178 and opened up this morning down around 156. That is quite the drop and got even lower there right at market open. So what a bad drop, Mike, for Target. They actually had some pretty bad articles here. Like they're saying that they missed by a mile on their earnings, according to Brian Sozi or Brian here on Yahoo Finance. I know that all these guys come up with different terms for stocks being down, but him saying it missed by a mile really caught me off guard. And whenever I start looking through it, Mike, they had some pretty interesting stuff where they lost a lot of money due to organized retail crime, which what do they call that again, Mike? It's a bit of a weird name.
Yeah, so they call it inventory shrinkage. Inventory shrinkage. And basically what's going on with Target is one, their profits this quarter dropped by like 50%. So that's brutal. But this year, Target has lost $400 million to inventory shrinkage. And they are expected to lose a total of more, actually, I guess just more than $600 million for the full year due to this theft. This is up by more than 50% compared to the previous year. So Target is struggling on multiple different fronts right now. And to see that level of theft and just like inventory shrinkage, you can call it, is just brutal for the company. And what's even more alarming is how quickly the crime rate is actually rising for Target. Like they're seeing 50% increases year over year. And I know like if someone tries to steal from Target, a lot of times they won't even like try and stop people.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of times whenever retail crime happens, a lot of people run in, grab a whole handful of items, and they just run right out the door. And people, like you said, Mike, don't stop them. And a lot of that fear is obviously, if you hurt the person, then they can sue you or sue the company. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why the companies don't stop people from stealing. But I would guess, Mike, that some of these harsh economic conditions with inflation being higher and stuff like that might be driving some people to steal a little bit more. And I would think maybe that's why the number is up a little bit. But nonetheless, that did hurt Target on earnings. I will say, Mike, obviously, they're looking at around $600 million for the whole year compared to their overall revenue. It's not too much, but it definitely makes a big enough difference, especially when they're only beating by 113 million. Those thefts could make up for them missing or losing on some of these estimates.
Exactly. So keep Target on your watch list. The stock is definitely taking a little bit of a hit. But Tom, looking at a stock that everyone has been looking at lately is Nvidia. Nvidia actually reported earnings after the bell today, and honestly, they're just all over the place. They tried to run up, then they came down a little bit, and now they're up slightly. We all know how crazy and whack earnings can be sometimes. What's the story with this one?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. So we actually saw revenue beat here on Nvidia, which is fantastic. We also saw EPS miss by a little bit. You can see it came in at 58 cents versus 70 cents expected. Gaming revenue was up and data center revenue was actually up. And then you can see that their Q4 revenue guidance actually fell a little bit. They brought it down to 6 billion and analysts were hoping for 6.09 billion. So they didn't miss by a lot, but they did miss by a little bit. But I will say, Mike, it's good to see that they have good revenue numbers. I know that EPS miss, but the revenue beating there is a pretty important thing. And looking at Nvidia and after hours, it is holding up pretty well. Like you said, though, it was all over. I would probably expect this one to be a pretty big theta burner tomorrow. Probably will open somewhere around 160 to 164, and it won't get a huge pop, but who knows? Maybe they'll end up flying up because of their conference call or something like that. But I know Nvidia is one of the biggest stocks out there. People love watching them along with AMD and Intel in that chip sector. And I know that Nvidia has been one of those key tech stocks that has been falling down a lot this year. So hopefully they can go back on the uptrend.
For sure. So just like you said, Nvidia is one of the most popular stocks, especially for retail traders. Can you give us some more like resistance and support levels going forward?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm sitting here looking at Nvidia's chart, and we've been falling down quite a bit. But I will say the past month, Nvidia has really been ripping right back to the upside. And I'm really looking at this 170 resistance overhead here. You can see that was pretty much like the high of this week right there around 169.95 or 169.96. Now we're starting to come back down just a little bit. So as Nvidia starts to move up, I'm going to really watch that high of day from yesterday. I think that'll be pretty important to maybe break tomorrow morning for a secondary run up. If we don't break that, Nvidia might end up going flat. So definitely watch that resistance. If we do end up falling down, though, I have some support here around 156, which looks like it ended up holding up at in after hours a little bit. Then I also have support at 150. So there's definitely some key levels. I know 150 is a good even number for people.
Good stuff. Alrighty, so looking at some events and just things to know throughout the rest of the week, what do we have going forward in terms of earnings and economic data?
Yeah, so economic data first. Tomorrow, we're going to have some housing starts and building permits 1 hour before the market opens. So watch out for that. It might make some of these housing stocks move a little bit. And then on Friday, we're going to have existing home sales, which might be even more important than the housing starts and building permits. So watch out for those existing home sales on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then for earnings, Mike, tomorrow, we're going to see Alibaba report in pre-market along with Macy's, Kohl's, and BJ's. So it looks like we have some more retailers there, but Alibaba is going to be the big watcher, Mike. Besides Nvidia, Walmart, maybe Home Depot and Target this week, I know Alibaba is another very popular stock reporting. And when I look at their stock here over the past week, it has been nothing but moving up. And I know there's been some pretty good news with China. So this actually gives me hope with Baba this time.
Yeah, in my opinion, Alibaba will be the biggest earnings report of the week. The stock has been going crazy over the past year, but especially over the past couple weeks. And we've also seen a lot of bullish options activity with China stocks overall. So Alibaba will definitely be like the biggest earnings play of the week for me. I'm not someone to gamble before earnings, but I definitely don't mind trading a stock after it already reports earnings. So a lot of people just gamble and buy calls or puts before a stock reports earnings, and that's just a gamble, but I feel like it's a lot safer to trade the momentum after the stock already reports, because it's not like the stock just pops up for, 1 day in pre-market and then does nothing. A lot of times we actually see earnings continuation moves that happen over the course of a couple days. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And actually going into some of these plays for tomorrow, Mike, I'm actually looking at a nice earnings continuation with Home Depot and Lowe's. I know that both of those stocks have been very explosive. Lowe's had a really good report this morning, and it's kind of cool to see Home Depot also holding up this week with their earnings. I see a huge resistance here right around 316. Maybe if we could start to break out above this, I will start to maybe look at some calls on Home Depot tomorrow morning. That's a very big level up there. And like you said, Mike, sometimes you get some nice post-earnings moves out of these stocks. And with Lowe's running up too, it's just nice to see that whole sector doing well. So I will be watching Home Depot. I think it has a good potential for a breakout. And even when I look at the daily chart, I'm really happy with what I see here. Nice support bounces, and it's actually still looking very strong here this week.
Good stuff. So some stocks that I will be watching for tomorrow. The first one is actually Goldman Sachs, GS. This one is interesting. So I'm not necessarily very bearish on this one, but I do think it is a little bit overextended to the upside in the short term, and I would not be surprised if it pulled back a little bit. The thing is, though, is if the market itself is rocketing to the upside, I'm not going to buy puts or I'm not going to short Goldman. You know what I mean? So it's like with these types of plays, it's also important to have the market moving in the direction of the play. So if the market starts to come down, Goldman will be one of the first stocks I look at for a potential play to the downside. And Tom, I want to illustrate something really quickly on the charts. So if we go to like a daily chart of, let's say, Caterpillar or CAT, I actually talked about this setup just a couple days ago on how that one was overbought. With setups like these, most of the time they do pull back. It's just timing them is the hardest part. And there have actually been multiple examples of setups like these over the past couple of weeks, like LMT and McDonald's as well. So Goldman, it's on my watch list for tomorrow, potentially in a bearish way. But again, you need to see the market move down as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good observation because we do need to see these, or like you said, the overall market fall as well as other bank stocks too, because I know that they generally, end up moving together. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. Very overextended here. I'm definitely looking for a push maybe below 380 or something like that on Goldman. Definitely seems like a pretty overextended play. And talking about stocks being overextended, I'm actually going to be watching Palantir here for a bit of a move. Now, I know Palantir has been running up a little bit the past week, but I will say over the past couple days, I've been really liking how they've been bouncing off this $8 support. So I will be watching this support very closely. If we end up running down below here, it might be a pretty good put play, but I'm really going to be watching it for a potential bounce back up. Palantir has been very, very low this year. I know a lot of people love to trade Palantir and a lot of retail traders talk about it all the time. So I will be watching it for a push up. But once again, Mike, like you said, you need the market to almost be going up too, because as you can see, the market was very choppy today and a lot of these stocks were flat or almost just did nothing.
Exactly. Good stuff. All right. With the next one I'm watching is TLT. And I've been talking about TLT to the upside for quite some time now. But TLT, it had an absolutely amazing day today. I'm definitely still watching it to the upside. But the very important thing you need to know with this one is that at the end of the day, this ETF follows bonds, so it's like it moves slowly. So it's like if it does nothing tomorrow, don't be surprised. Like that's what you will see most of the time. But either way, with everything being said, I can still see it popping up in the short term. Let's also not forget that we talked about that call debit spread that the smart money bought for TLT. Basically, what you need to know if you don't understand how spreads work. Basically, some hedge fund wants TLT to go up, and they will make millions of dollars if TLT is at like 113 on January 20th of 2023. In order for them to get any return at all, they need TLT above 103 minimum. So I think for multiple reasons, TLT can pop up. Let alone we've seen like one of the worst bond sell-offs in history. So keep it on your radar. I definitely like it.
Yeah, me too. That's actually starting to look really good on the daily chart, and we're starting to get closer and closer into that 103 to 113 range. I know last week, Mike, I thought we might have some issues getting up here sometime soon, but it only took a few days, actually. The past 2 days have been explosive on this one. It's moved from like 98 all the way up to 101.40. I know that might not sound like a lot to people, but a $3.50 move in 2 days on TLT definitely isn't too bad. But yeah, what a crazy market, Mike. I just can't believe the way bonds are right now. The market's up. I know I was looking a lot today at some of these yields with the bonds, and I noticed like USO2Y is still looking like it might be on a pretty good downtrend here. I know that I drew this arrow a while ago, and I feel like everybody's just kind of waiting for these bonds to kind of fall under 4.3% here.
For sure. Alrighty, so Tom, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we are looking at Microsoft for a potential day trade to the upside.
Yeah, Microsoft had a pretty good day, actually. Go ahead and make them break out above 243.50. I will say they did have a high of day up around 243.80, but 243.50 is a really good resistance.
All right, with the next one, we have BA to the downside.
Boeing, yeah, we've actually been watching this one down for the past couple days, but go ahead and make them break down below 172.
And with the last one, we have AMD, but we need both directions.
AMD, yeah, this one, wow, in after hours, it's kind of moving here with Nvidia. I would say to the downside, if they could break under $72, watch for AMD to fall off to the downside. Now, if AMD does break up, watch for them to move up above $74. I think that would be a great resistance, especially given how it touched there in after hours just now.
Good stuff. So we are watching AMD for a potential day trade in either direction tomorrow, depending on the levels it breaks. BA, we are watching that one for potential day trade to the downside, only if it breaks below the level Tom listed. And then for MSFT, we are watching that one for a potential day trade to the upside, only if it breaks above the level Tom listed. But it is now time for the $672,000 trade to watch. We are looking at KWEB. Basically, some hedge fund today put $672,000 into the KWEB 13 strike call options that expire on March 17th of 2023. The main thing you need to know is that a hedge fund is betting that this stock is going to rise by March 17th of 2023. They reserve the right to buy a lot of shares of this stock at $13 a share, but they still need the stock to rise a lot. Basically, it's a very bullish play. We've been seeing a ton of bullish options activity with many different China stocks lately, whether it be FXI, whether it be KWEB, or BABA, or even the one yesterday, Tom, YMM. So there's been a lot of bullish options activity lately. I like it.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. These China stocks are starting to actually get some good momentum and turn around, which is nice. I will say today, obviously, Queb fell off a little bit with the market not really doing much, but we do have some hope. Baba's earnings are tomorrow. That will definitely affect Queb, so definitely watch this in the morning, guys. If Baba starts to gap up, Queb might have some good movement too. So really watch this. It's quite a bit of money, Mike. It's not the most money that we've seen over the past few weeks being put into some calls, but hey, it's nice, and I really like that they have time on it too. And that is so far in the money, Mike. The $13 strike, that's not even that's even below the low of the year right now.
True. So yeah, like you said, they are deep in the money. They have some time. So it definitely looks like a pretty bullish play. So we will see. But Tom, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the market overall right now. This week has been nothing but just chop and just a lack of movement. The market tried to run up yesterday, got rejected. Then it sank down, and then it's just been flat ever since. And when we're in situations like these, whether you buy calls, whether you buy puts, whether you buy both, it just doesn't work. Really, the only people who win in these situations are the people who sell premium, and that's awesome, right? But basically, over the past week, there's been a ton of choppy movement. And while that sucks to see, the good thing is that it normally doesn't last for too long. So basically what we see sometimes is we'll see the market do nothing for, let's say, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 days in a row. But then on that 7th day, you see one hell of a pop. And that's where a lot of opportunity comes into play. And that's kind of what we're setting up for right now in the market. So basically the main thing to know is that we're at a point right now where it's buyers and sellers are kind of just battling it out. There's a severe lack of momentum, and then once either the top level or the bottom level breaks, that's where the opportunity will be. So while there isn't much movement right now, it is definitely coming, and we can see it as soon as tomorrow, maybe Friday, or maybe even on Monday.
Yeah, I think that was some fantastic analysis, Mike. Like you said, it's just been very choppy, kind of staying between a bit of a range between 395 and 400, not really being able to break out. I know the past couple days it's been in a bit of this range here, staying under this top trend line, which is interesting. Now we're kind of breaking out above it a little bit at close. I know today it was all over the place in between that little wedge there, but yeah, crazy stuff, Mike. I think that we're definitely setting up for a big move as well. My main thing is, are we going to be moving up or down? And it kind of seems like down, given all the bad news going on lately. But with Nvidia having good earnings, seeing Lowe's, Home Depot, and stocks like that doing well, that does give me hope. And while Target had bad earnings, keep in mind Walmart had good earnings earlier in the week. So it's not like every retailer out here is really suffering too much. Walmart's been doing great. Look at this daily chart of Walmart. It's been almost trying to run up to the highs of last year now.
Yeah, and then I hope you saw TJX too. That thing's popping.
Oh, I missed that one. Let's go. Oh my gosh, 79.10. Is this new all-time highs on this one? It's at least the new all-time high of the past 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, that thing is running. So it goes to show you that like we're in like an interesting market right now, and one, we're seeing a ton of volatility right now, but there will also be a lot of opportunities going forward in multiple different ways, whether it's with short-term trades like TJX or Walmart, or even some of these China stocks, or even whether that be just scooping up stocks to buy and hold. Either way, there's going to be a lot of opportunities going forward. And also, if you guys like our videos, make sure to subscribe, because we post videos like these every single day, and we talk about exactly the stocks that and important things you need to know in the market. So make sure to subscribe. Tom, I'm pretty excited going forward, even though this week has been full of choppy movement. Do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really waiting for that big move that we were talking about. Hopefully we can get back up above 400. I know that we got above 400 this week, but it was kind of like Walmart's earnings pushed us up above 400. Then we just started selling back down and we just never got back higher. So hopefully by Friday, we'll be saying, hey, we're finally breaking out above 400. And, that'll really help out some of these long-term portfolios. I know a lot of stocks have been going down and it's starting to get a little bit choppier again here. Just keep in mind, guys, overall, the SPY is on a pretty good uptrend. Even if we do fall for a few days, overall, it seems like we're still moving up. So even if we fall back to maybe 390 or something, I'm still overall bullish. And I feel like heading into the holidays, some of these stocks are setting up very well.
There we go. All right. I also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Sleek Smiley 24 in the Stocked Up Discord chat. You've been in the chat for around 2 months now, and you've been pretty active. So definitely keep up that activity. If you guys want to join the Stocked Up Discord, it is completely free, and it'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. But also make sure to check out this video on the screen right now. It dives deep into what the famous investor Michael Burry is doing right now in the stock market. You will not believe the moves he's making, because it is pretty crazy. Definitely check it out, and thank you guys for watching.